Hi, I'm Art Petty. So, what a pleasure to catch up with you. And I can tell you the real treat is meeting, connecting, and learning from Julie Winkle Giulioni. So, we're just a few days short when we recorded this interview of the launch of the third edition of her fabulous book with Beverly Kaye, Help Them Grow or Watch Them Go. And I love the subtitle as you hear Career Conversations Organizations Need and Employees Still Want. So, my humble opinion, this is one of the most important own, read, return to books for every single manager. As I mentioned during the interview, I think it goes even above and beyond the career coaching component. Having said that, it really decomplexifies my term, it decomplexifies the process of coaching and supporting for careers in today's world, in a workplace that's hybrid or virtual and certainly infused with AI. So Julie and Beverly do just an incredible job here. This third edition is releasing on September 24th, 2024. If you've not met Julie before, check out her great articles and her website at juliewinklegiulioni.com. Now, let's go ahead and enjoy the interview. Julie, it's so exciting to talk with you. We're just about at the launch of your third edition of Help Them Grow or Watch Them Go, career conversations organizations need in employees, and I'm going to emphasize this next word, still want. I love that subtle little title change with the insertion of still from that second edition. Got
Yes.
it. I had to technically go on Amazon to look at it and say, all right, what changed in this title here? And I saw that still was different. So congratulations on getting to your third edition.
Thank you. Thank you. And, the first two editions haven't quite cracked the code, apparently, because employees still do really want and are reporting they're not getting the kind of development that they need. So third time's a charm here.
I think it's a resource that has an amazingly long tail, like forever. So, little anecdote with a group of 43 recently, I asked individuals to jot down their top five questions when considering going to work for a new company. 23 of them questioned, I asked them to rank them too. 23 of them had at number one, what are the career development opportunities that I would have? And all of them, all 43, had them in their top three out of five.
Doesn't surprise me. I mean, this has been a trend for some time. People have made choices to stay, to leave, to join based upon the opportunity to grow. But in the past couple of years, I think we're just seeing even greater interest in the development opportunities. And that's the distinctive kind of competitive advantage in today's marketplace.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it at some point. This integrates so nicely with your book, your most recent book, prior to this third edition here of Promotions Are So Yesterday. I just love how they tie together. So I'm a big fan of doing something counterintuitive. I always like to start at the end. And I've read this third edition from cover to cover. I've been referencing the second edition. It's a must purchase for all of my clients. But I like to go to the end. And I loved your opening statement at the conclusion, yours and Beverly's. A lot has changed, but one thing is still the same. Leadership and your role in developing others remains an honor and a sacred responsibility. Oh my gosh, is that a powerful statement? And what a wonderful premise for your work.
Thank you. Yeah. And you know what? Even hearing you say it, I kind of get goosebumps, I have to say, because it's so easy in the grind when we get so busy with all the tactics of getting work done to forget that the one thing that we do that makes the biggest difference, like the most intimate way we interact with people, the most transformative basis for a relationship is how we help people grow and develop. And if that's not a privilege and an honor, I don't know what is.
I'm just such a big fan of finding ways to show respect to the people we work around. And I think one of the highest forms of respect we can offer another human being is to support their growth. And you and Beverly do a wonderful job of highlighting at the end of the day, people aren't going to remember the quarterly results or, the annual results. They're going to remember that, hey, Julie took a chance on me or Art invested in me at this point in time. And that really, really makes the difference. I love that. And that's why I gravitated towards that statement of yours.
Thank you. And when I talk with folks about the people in their lives who've really supported their growth, one of the things that I hear a lot, and I know I feel it when I reflect back on some of the bosses that I have, is they saw something in me I didn't see in myself.
Hmm.
Boy, isn't that a high level of respect? To be that curious, to be that interested, to really look and delve that deeply into someone to help shine the light on, skills or talents or gifts that haven't even come to the surface yet. That really is the respect you're talking about.
It is indeed. I'm going to grab, I'm looking at the other screen. I've got some questions and some quotes. I like to grab quotes from books. And yours is just so quotable. So here's one. Career development is among the most frequently forgotten tools for driving business results. That's horrifying. And it's so true. Why? After all your time doing this and looking at this and the research, why do we forget to do this? Because it does affect results.
I think for a lot of leaders, we've just not taken the time to create that breadcrumb trail.
Mhm.
It's sort of like development's over here and business results are over here. But the truth is, there is such an inextricable link here. I'll frequently refer to career development as a Swiss Army knife. Because
Mhm.
one thing that you do, one tool you use, it has all of these different applications. Because when we engage in development, we're helping people elevate their level of engagement, which leads to greater, job satisfaction. That translates to customer satisfaction. It leads to greater investment of discretionary effort, which means no matter what you're doing, whether it's sales or service or innovation, you're going to see more of that. There's a direct connection between development and retention.
Sure.
And of course, the reputation an organization has to be able to retain and then recruit folks. So I think once we help leaders understand that breadcrumb trail, then suddenly it's like, of course, why am I not doing this? Small investment, huge, seeds that you're planting all over.
What does your research, or at least your anecdotal research, say about whether or not leaders recognize those points?
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of leaders don't. And it's, not a criticism. As I said before, leaders are so incredibly busy. We have layered so much responsibility on the typical manager or leader while, eliminating layers of supervision and whatnot, just cramming more into their job descriptions all the time. So it's not surprising that a lot of leaders are just scrambling from the squeaky wheels, the needing to deliver on short-term results and meet a customer's expectation and whatnot. And unfortunately, career development in general becomes a little bit of a back burner issue.
Sure.
We'll get to that. But of course, you know how that goes. We just keep moving the post-it note down the list.
Well, and then it shows up at the performance evaluation or the semi, the mid-year performance eval. And by the way, you are so kind. I actually don't let my senior leader clients off the hook on this topic.
Mhm.
I absolutely rail at them for delegating career development out to, for example, the learning and development group, which has a wonderful purpose, but they shouldn't delegate this such critical task. It's,
I agree.
they need to own that. All right,
Oh,
so I
yeah.
need to back up. I get so excited to chat with you, and what have you. For someone who's not read the prior two editions of the book, paint the picture of what this book is all about.
It's a pretty simple premise. I think the purpose of the book is to demystify career development.
Mhm.
Because what's happened is over the years, we have, as a society, as leaders, as organizations, we've tended to really make this much more complicated than it actually needs to be. We've layered processes and systems and tools and, all of that kind of thing on it. We've thought of it in terms of pathways and promotions and moves and new titles. And when you approach career development with that kind of thinking, it's just overwhelming. I mean,
Mhm.
no wonder so many managers just say, tap, tap, I'm out.
Right.
So the premise of the book is career development is so much simpler than we're all making it. That it really boils down to, at its core, career development is a relationship, and it's
Mhm.
a relationship that plays out through conversation. And if leaders can formulate the mindset that it's just about the conversation, and if they've got some really great questions in their hip pocket, they can turn any interaction in the direction of development. They can take advantage of the conversations they're already having and just take them to the next level with smart questions that direct it in the way of development.
You know, what you just described there, I've actually, giving reference to you in the book with clients, have had the same dialogue, and it's almost like they breathe. They offer a big sigh of relief. It's like, oh my goodness, this can be easier because they have, and I know you and Beverly do a nice job highlighting the blockers. They have the blockers in their mind. I think you had about five immobilizing myths, right? We don't have enough time, can't give them what they want. Why rock the boat? Hey, by the way, the employee's responsible for their career, or L&D will take care of that. They have those blockers. And what you've done is taken those away with that premise.
Yeah, especially the one about time, I have to say. Because who's got time for, 2 hour sit down to go through every, little detail of somebody's development? But no manager I know can't take 90 seconds or 2 minutes to turn a hallway conversation. We're going to talk about the baseball game or the basketball game or whatever anyway, to just say, hey, what's going on? What are you loving about your work? What was the last great win that you had? What skills are you finding most valuable today? I mean, small question like that, small answer, but we layer those over time. And you were talking about respect.
Mhm.
That's respect.
Oh my God.
That demonstrates a real, genuine investment in that other person.
I had a group of healthcare workers, nurses recently, nursing managers, and we were having this discussion on career development and when is the time to do it. And they were in their organization stuck in that once or twice a year, maybe. And the pushback to me was, Art, I don't have time. I have 34 reports. And I jumped back and suggested, well, why not handle it this way, the way you just described? And it was, again, like watching the lights turn on. Oh, I don't have to have that lengthy sit down. I don't have time nor location for. I can do this on the fly.
Yeah, but it's a new mindset and it's a new kind of habit
Hmm.
that we need to help leaders to build, to just take every single interaction they're having and take that moment to think, okay, what question could I ask that would take this conversation to that next level?
You have a wonderful quote in here. You don't have to have all the answers, but what's not negotiable is that you have the questions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the bottom line. I think that's the other reason a lot of managers and leaders avoid career conversations is because they don't have the answers. They don't know what to do. They don't know the right path
They're
forward.
afraid of it, or they're afraid they don't have a promotion to offer,
Oh
or
my
they don't
gosh.
have more money to offer at this point.
Yeah, which isn't what everybody's looking for, but that's a whole other Oprah. But once we help managers to let go of that and realize, hey, all I need to do is bring some curiosity to this
Hmm.
interaction, ask a good question, and kind of zip it. And the rest is on the employee. Suddenly, it's just like again heaving that sigh of relief. It's a weight off their shoulders.
No doubt about it. So I love this quote in here. Onward and upward has been replaced by forward and toward. So share a little bit about what that means, because we typically think, and I'm stuck in that. When I came out of college, I mean, onward and upward was always the focus.
Oh my gosh, me too. And probably if I were awakened in the middle of the night, the image that would come to me for career development is that ladder, that
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
scrambling down
sure,
for your
sure.
career. But the truth is, in today's organizations where we've seen right sizing and downsizing and all those, zings,
Hmm.
where we're seeing delayering of mid-levels of management in many cases, where, boomers are living longer, they're working longer. We've got all sorts of different kinds of
Hmm.
relationships. We can't continue to define career development exclusively as that promotion or that position or that title or that move. When you think about it, like I don't know, 18 months ago, did we even know what an AI prompt engineer was? I mean, we would have thought that was something from a sci-fi movie. And now it's one of the hot job titles being recruited for. So as a result, we can't continue to just keep looking up
Hmm.
as the way of thinking about career development. It really is about each of us figuring out, what's our unique definition of career success and how do we cultivate that within the envelope of whatever role we're currently in.
And I always add on the theme of what is it that you want to do at this stage? Because what we want to do at a different stage, 4 years down the road, 5 years, who knows? But right now, what do you want to do? And I know you have in here, you and Beverly have in here, it's not what you want to be, but it's what you want to do.
Yeah, and that's so important. This distinction between the being, that
Mhm.
title, that role, that is so extrinsically oriented, but also subject to change
Right.
depending upon what the organization needs, and all of that. But the what you want to do, if we can help employees think about what they want to do, what kind of work is going to be satisfying, what kinds of projects, what kinds of customers or technologies, or what kinds of problems and challenges do they want to chew on? If we can help people really identify that, then most managers, most leaders can find a way to say yes and
Hmm.
invite that into, again, the envelope of that employee's job. So we can keep people growing wherever they are, without the need for movement. But your other point, I think, is really well taken. How I want to grow, what I'm interested in, my definition of career success today is really different than it was a couple years ago. And I predict it's going to be different in the future. And
Sure.
so training leaders and employees alike to recognize this is the flow that we're in, and being sensitive to, kind of watching those soul stirrings, and, where are your interests going, and following that is the key to, lifelong learning and engagement.
No doubt. So in some of my career pivot work that I do with experienced professionals, the challenge often is hey, I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up, and I just don't know what it is. In my encouragement to them is don't worry about designing forever, just design for next. And I think we as managers can incorporate that as well in the development work with our employees. All right, so
Yeah.
I know that I've just raved about this perspective in the book before. I love the model that you and Beverly developed on hindsight, foresight, and insight. I think it's the heart of the book. I'm not sure if you would agree, but I think it's the heart of the book. That is such a powerful way to prompt discussions with people. Can you share a little bit about that? Not enough that people, we need people to buy the book though, so don't give it all away.
Yeah, there's plenty in there that beyond what we can talk about for sure. So, one of the things that we were trying to solve for with this book was the complexity piece of it. And
Mhm.
so we knew to be able to appeal to busy managers, we needed to offer a really simple framework for thinking about how you have these conversations. And it really boils down to three kind of categories of questions or conversations we engage in, which are, as you mentioned, hindsight, foresight, and insight. So hindsight is that looking inward and backward at who a person is, where they've been, what they've done, what they love, where their interests lie, maybe where their interests don't lie, their values, all of that kind of stuff. That's just the foundation, sort of the baseline information you need to be able to support someone's growth. Too frequently, that's where we stop. And the danger there is we may be pursuing angles, directions, opportunities that aren't going to be viable and sustainable and move forward. And so that's where foresight comes in. So if hindsight's the inward backward look, foresight's the outward forward look at what's going on in the organization. How are we changing? What's going on in our industry, sector, even bigger than that, the demographic, geopolitical, environmental stuff. I mean, the big strategic planning stuff that sounds heady, but at
Right.
the end of the day, it really creates the guardrails within which a viable, sustainable, future-proofed career can operate. And then where hindsight, where I've been, what I love, what I want to do, intersects with foresight. What are the needs of the organization? Where's the world going?
Mhm.
That's the sweet spot that we refer to as insight, that you can mine for the possibilities and the insights and the learnings and the ways forward.
It's my favorite management Venn diagram ever, and
Yeah.
it's that heart, that insight that we're looking for there. So All right, so interesting. We've gone through the pandemic, we've gone through the Great Resignation, whatever we want to term it. We're now into a point at this stage when the book is being launched. The economy is slowing a bit. Power has kind of shifted back to employers. Yet, and we're in this world of of AI. What's different here? What's relevant here for people right here and now? What is it that's new about this book, I guess is the question I'm asking.
So, so I guess before I answer that directly, the through line, no matter where the pendulum is swinging in
Right.
terms of the labor market, there is always competition for your best talent. The
Hmm.
talent you really want is always going to have options.
Sure.
So no matter how much of an employer's market it is, it's still in an organization's best interest to really think deeply about development for attracting that kind and
No doubt.
retaining that kind of talent. Not to mention that developing one's workforce is good for business because a more skillful workforce is going to be able to do more for you. Okay, so that aside,
Right.
what's different now, despite the fact that maybe the dynamics have changed a little since the Great Resignation, when employees really were the ones kind of holding the reins, is we've got a workforce that's more distributed than ever before since
Mhm.
the pandemic. We've got more hybrid and remote workers who've created kind of a critical mass of the population that needs development in new and different ways, whose needs are not being met. And so that was one of the things that we took on with this new edition is we have a whole new chapter on developing at a distance.
I
This
love that. It's Julie, it's such a critical issue because we're all dealing with that, and everybody has to. How do I have the opportunities? I'm not able to, see them in action. So you are filling a huge gap with that chapter.
Thank you. Yeah, it really is an important thing. And it goes back to, something you said earlier, about respect.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, we've got this uneven playing field, uneven respect field in many organizations where we're already seeing the results of, promotions and pay raises and opportunities going to those who are co-located. And so really finding ways to be equitable about that is important. So that was one thing. We took on this issue of talent hoarding a bit more in this edition because what we're seeing in many organizations is this sense that I own these people. How dare they leave me? If I'm going to develop them, then they're mine forever. And of course, that's not a sustainable mindset. And so, how do we help folks think more of talent as an enterprise-wide resource?
Hmm.
And encourage them to, share down the hallway
Versus
rather
down the road,
than,
right? Yeah, yeah.
yeah, exactly. Although even, down the road,
Mhm.
we're not going to be able to keep people forever. And leaders who are good at developing organizations who have that kind of reputation have no trouble finding the additional talent to backfill. Um, we've added to the number of questions. We've got over 100
Oh my
questions
gosh.
now.
The questions in the try this sections are just brilliant. They make it so actionable for managers when they go through it. I love that part of the book.
Yeah, that's really important to us. And the other thing on the actionability piece that's different in this, different in terms of the landscape today, and then how we've responded in this edition. Today, we're all so flat out, so busy. We've got really good intentions, but translating those intentions into action doesn't always happen for all of us. And same thing with a book. You read a book, you get these great ideas, and you've got these, you're going to do all this stuff, and it just, then life intrudes. So, one of the things that we've done with this edition of the book is we've created what we refer to affectionately as our book bot.
So cool.
And it's a custom GPT and AI resource that readers can then go to. And because, we've got this knowing doing gap, you know it, but don't always do it. And what you can do to bridge that is get some practice, build some confidence, work out the kinks. And so the BookBot helps you plan a real conversation with someone, helps you rehearse it. They'll play the employee so you can work through how you might address it, get feedback, brainstorm development ideas. So it's really going to be, I think, a powerful tool for helping busy managers make use of the information.
I love that. I love that. So what's the most exciting part about having a chance to take a great resource? I think what has consistently been one of the best books for managers and one of the best management books, I'll phrase that both ways, and making it even more viable at this point in time. What's been the most exciting part for you?
Well, exciting is kind of a double-edged sword. So the scary side of exciting is doing that with a book that has sold almost 150,000 copies. You
Oh,
don't want to break anything.
mhm.
And when I talk to different readers, people read different things into the book.
Mhm.
They connect dots that I didn't
Sure.
even, consider. So not wanting to break anything that's working for folks is the scary part of the exciting. The more positive side of it is really being able to go back because we've all done this. You write something, you go back and you look at it and think, oh man, what was I
Uh-huh.
thinking?
I,
What was
I
I
live that. I live that.
Yeah, so being able to go back and tighten those things up and take the last 5 years of conducting workshops and keynotes and working with people and being able to just bring a little bit more definition, maybe, to some of the ideas has been really delightful.
I hope my energy comes through. I don't say it lightly. It is one of the most valuable resources for managers I've ever encountered. I personally recommend your book to all of my clients, and I think this one is going to surprise to the upside very aggressively on that 150,000 count. So I cannot wait to gauge and hear the market reaction to this wonderful resource. So congratulations to you and to Beverly, whom I've never met, but I feel like I know her from reading this book for so many years now.
Thank you so much, Art. We really appreciate it.
So Julie, this was great. Can't wait to for our next chance to connect. And again, congratulations on the third edition of Help Them Grow or Watch Them Go.
Thank you so much.